authors, and welcome back to So God Told You to Write a Book, Now What? I'm your host, Wendy Jo Cerna, and I am excited to venture into the second season of the podcast. In Season 1, I took you along with me through the process of writing, editing, and publishing my third novel, Solbakken, A Tale of Generations. I'm currently in the thick of getting my fourth novel, The Sabotage Scroll, finished up and published. But enough about me. Season 2 is going to be all about my fellow Christian authors who are launching their books. We're going to chat about the journey they took from the inception of their books to holding the finished products in their hands. So hop on board for Season 2 of So God Told You to Write a Book, Now What? I'm convinced you're going to find both inspiration and practical knowledge to help you obey the call of God on your life to create the book He has given you to create. Hey, if the author and finisher of all things told you to write a book, He believes that you can. And so do I. So come on, let's write. Well, hello, authors, and welcome back to another episode of So God Told You to Write a Book, Now What? We are with Val Barschaw. Welcome to the show, Val.
Thank you, Wendy. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's so fun to have you here. This is already episode 7 of this season, so we're into it probably at least halfway now, and I'm tickled to have you here. Val and I have gotten to know each other a little bit through NCWA, where she is serving as the current treasurer. Mm-hmm. We are very grateful because you had a career is in accounting, but it was a specific kind of forensic accounting. Is that right?
Actually, I wasn't necessarily a forensic accountant. I was a highly specialized QuickBooks advisor.
Okay.
And what it turned out is so many businesses called once they saw they were in trouble.
True.
And it ended up being that I had to perform forensic accounting to isolate and solve the problem, get to the root cause, and move it forward. So it actually became where I was doing forensic accounting, not because that was the plan.
Yes. Well, as life often is, right?
Right.
We go where we're let. Yeah. I see it in the way that you are handling our books with NCWA. We're most grateful for that. But I also see it in your writing, and we're going to talk about your book because you're very detail-oriented, and I think that it shows up in this book, which we're going to talk about today, Surviving the Hospital, 6 Secrets Every Patient Should Know. I've been an advocate and caregiver for my parents over the last, 7 or 8 years, off and on. They lived at a distance, but coming and going through all of that, you realize, okay, there's really a lot to navigate in the healthcare system. And if you don't have a advocate, it can become dangerous, actually. So and I'm reading in your bio that the reason why you're passionate about this is because you've lived this.
Yes,
True?
Exactly.
So your husband is a heart transplant recipient.
He is.
And how long ago? So he was on the list for how long?
So our journey at this point is 35 years. The first 10 years was working up to the transplant.
Okay.
And as far as actually being on the transplant list itself, that was like 6 or 7 years of being on the list waiting. It took a couple years for the workup, and as science advanced, they try something else because being on a transplant list is the last possible hope that they provide you. So the doctors and teams really wanted to find something other than that if they could. And so for a few years, we were successful at avoiding getting listed until finally he was listed. Good 7 years on the list, where he even got so sick at one point that they took him off the list because they said he wouldn't be a successful recipient. So we had the highs, the lows, it was quite a journey. I look at it as 10 years of the journey to receive the transplant.
Yeah.
And now we are so excited to celebrate 25 years.
Isn't that wild?
A successful transplant. And that has been most definitely part of our faith journey.
Oh, sure.
Because we absolutely know that part of that credit, yes, some is science, some is technology, but it is absolutely his faith and our faith together that's gotten him this far along. And of course, we had ups and downs during this 25 years too. So.
Yeah. You're in and out of hospitals and doctors' offices a lot.
Yes. And any transplant recipient will be in and out of doctors' offices for the rest of their life because the medicines that they're on are so drastic. They have to regularly monitor them, adjust them, make sure they're still working. There's a lot of risk there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's part of the whole ball game with transplant. So along the way, you learned some skills of how to survive. I mean, they're the wonders of what our medical care system can do is quite remarkable. You know, that you can have a heart transplant.
Yes. Wow. That's remarkable. But there are certain patterns that show up. When you go in and out of the hospital and in and out of the hospital, there were patterns that developed.
I see.
And it's those patterns that I really focused in on with the book, because what I want people to know is what they can do to improve their odds.
Right.
It's not what science can do, but what the patient can do. And so taking those patterns and developing them into easy to apply, actionable steps.
Yeah. You know, this is the Lord working all things together for good as he does. But so often the things that are our biggest heartaches and challenges in life become the places that the Lord then flows through us to comfort others and equip others. At least that's what I've found to be true in my own life. And I see it again here.
I absolutely agree. And so I'd like to share one of the stories.
Okay, please do.
Of a specific event. We have many, but this one I think really exemplifies what you just said, that God's leading us to help others. And with our audience, with NWCA and other Christian audiences, they have an advantage. They know that God is with them and that God is their advocate.
Yeah.
Not all patients know that.
True.
And that's what I want to help bridge the gap in this book, is to help the secular patients understand that there are very successful steps they can take. But one of the things that makes the book so important is not just the secular 6 secrets every patient should know. It's that their purpose is meaningful. And when they move their purpose in life from their head to their heart with deliberate prayer, then they're going to get the best possible outcome, whatever that outcome is. So as one doctor put it to me, is I'm the perfect person to share this method, period. Yeah. And why that is because I witnessed firsthand one afternoon, my husband had called me. He was in the CCU, critical care unit, and he said he wasn't doing well, but he asked, pushed the call button for the nurse to come repeatedly, and no one was coming. So would I please come? And it was a Friday afternoon. It was getting later in the afternoon. And so when I got his call and I could hear the sense of pleading in his voice, I made those arrangements. Okay, I got to leave work. I got to go now. How can I get there? I don't know if people know Seattle traffic very well.
Yeah.
But and to me, it's an enigma. Friday morning traffic is the lightest. But Friday afternoon traffic is the worst.
How can that be? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Friday morning, just cruise on. Friday afternoon, bumper to bumper. This Friday was no exception. It was horrible, bumper to bumper, stop and go traffic. And I had to get across the Evergreen Point floating bridge. Took a long time. So the good news is Bill was waiting for me. Please come. It took a long time. I got there, get to his hospital door, and there's a sign on the door saying, do not enter.
Oh.
So then I had to track down a nurse, say, what's up with this? And the nurse goes, oh, yeah, that's been there since noon. We just never took it off. No wonder Bill was pushing his call button and no one was coming in. There was a sign on the door saying, do not enter. So there was an issue with a disconnect there. But I got into his room and it was starting to get dusk. He had the lights off. He was literally blind from pain.
Oh, wow.
He had the lights off. It didn't matter. I looked around the room. I could see it was in total disarray because of the blindness he was going through. So I set about comforting him. Took a washcloth, made a cold compress, put that across his forehead. And I let him know I was there. I was present. I was here for him. And then he checked out.
Wow.
I watched his eyes roll into the back of his head and his body began convulsing. Instinctively, I grabbed the device for the nurse call, realizing, well, that hasn't worked all afternoon. And I darted into the bathroom and I pulled the cord in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Thinking that's going to get an immediate response. It didn't. And so then I looked at my husband, who was not there.
Yeah.
And his body was just thrashing back and forth in the bed. And I just lurched over the back of the bed and pushed the emergency button on the wall.
Yeah.
In a matter of seconds, 6 running into that room. I put myself at the wall, at the foot of the bed, trying to be the wallpaper.
Yeah.
As those 6 doctors immediately went to work to revive him. And they were, there's a specialist putting on oxygen. There was somebody else checking vitals. There was somebody else calling out questions. I answered the questions that I could, that I knew about him. And probably 2 minutes into this, the nurse came walking in with his chart and answered additional questions. As they were doing their different things, one doctor after another peeled off and left the room, so that we were left with 2 doctors, the nurse, myself, and Bill.
Yeah.
So the doctor decided to take the oxygen mask off and see if Bill could breathe on his own. They had revived him and wanted to see if he could breathe. And he did. So he was back to breathing. The nurse waltzed up to Bill's side and goes, "Hi, Bill." Kind of like she was his best friend, had been tending to him all day. At that point, I peeled myself off the wallpaper and I stepped between her and my husband and I said, "That's my husband." So I reached down and I took Bill's hand and I said, "Hi, sweetie, I'm here."
Yeah.
He looked up at me, his face totally blank. And he goes, "That's nice, but I don't know who you are."
Oh, boy.
So at that moment, all I could do was hold his hand and pray.
Yep.
I prayed that whatever God had in store for us, I could handle it. I prayed that God would give him back his memory and that he would know I was his wife. I prayed that we would have a future together. I even prayed that if he was going to be in a vegetative state, if that's what God had in mind, that we would just get through it. That was such a powerful moment.
Yeah.
Of saying, God, I turn it over to your hands. I've done everything I can do. Bill did his part. He waited for me to get there.
Yeah, he sure
He
did.
knew his body was had a serious problem. And he waited for me to get there because he knew I would do what it took to push that blue button on the wall.
That's right.
And so bottom line is, it took a while. He did regain his ability to read, his vision, his memory. And we lead a successful, happy life. But that moment really, God took over everything in that moment. And I give credit to God. When Bill would tell that story, to people, years later, and they'd say, "Oh, Bill, you did so well. Your wife did so well." And we go, "No, God did it. We were just merely the instruments, and we're here to give the glory and the credit to God. He did that. He got us through it." So that's the story I wanted to be sure to share with your audience.
Because if you hadn't been there, if you hadn't been his advocate, then what happens? Nothing good.
He would not be here today. Yeah. Even the next 48 hours were touch and go. Critical. And I would not leave his side at that point.
Sure.
And I'm able to partially sleep sitting up in a chair.
Okay. You probably got good at it over the years.
Yeah.
Wow. So where in your journey, where was that in timeline wise, that incident?
That was 8 days post heart transplant.
Oh, wow.
So, that had been, the culmination of 10 years of waiting for the transplant, getting the transplant.
Yep.
And then something went wrong. And yes, it was a medicine overdose is what the issue was.
Okay.
And we had to solve that, but it caused additional complications.
Sure.
And we had to solve those.
Yep.
And we did.
Yeah. You did. Here you are. Wow.
The book is about the patterns that developed to say, how can you as a patient, even someone who doesn't have the strong faith that Bill and I have, how can you as a patient survive and take proactive steps?
Yeah. Yeah. So when did you get to feel like, okay, I need to write this down and actually put it in a book? Was it a clear, sudden moment, or what happened?
It was a clear and sudden moment that occurred in 2023.
Okay.
So it didn't happen at that moment in time.
Sure. Well, you had lots of other things on your plate at that time.
And it was in the back of my mind that, I am here to be in service to others. And so I thought, I had work to do. I was supporting the family. And, so all those things were happening along the way. But in 2023, I was on a webinar, and the webinar was calling people to examine themselves, and their purpose.
Okay.
And I always say, what do I want to be when I grow up?
Exactly. Right. I know. Yes.
Part of me says, I don't ever want to grow up.
Well, there's that.
What do I want to be? And how can I be of better service to others? And I'm on this webinar, and I get up and I go into the kitchen, and I'm crying. And tears are running down my face as I said to my husband, sweetie, I need to write a book. This is how I can help others, is to share our story and tell them what they can do to have a better outcome. And he looked at me and he shrugged his shoulders like, okay, don't know how we're going to do it. And neither did I. I didn't have a clue. I knew nothing about writing a book. And I said, but I have to do this. And he goes, and I know you will. Because that's what you do. You're going to take hold and you're going to get it done. And he says, and I'll support you. I know I'm just going to be kind of along for the ride, but I'll support you in this. So that started April of 2023. I made the decision. Yeah. So I cut off any other option. I said, I am going to write this book. Now I have to figure out how.
Yeah.
So then began the journey of let's do some research, kind of jot down an outline,
Yep.
Go back to English from, 50 years ago, English class. And, what are you supposed to do? And then go to the internet and start doing some research. Again, as life happens.
Yeah.
I had to step away from the idea to take care of my mom.
Okay. Yep.
And so, okay, it's decided, but I have a bigger priority.
Yep.
Taking care of my mom. Okay. Working on that, still dabbling a little bit here and there. And I started doing research and decided I know so little. I've got to go to a conference or a webinar or something.
Yeah.
And that's where I found NCWA.
Okay.
They showed up on the Google search, Washington organization. Okay, I'm in Washington State. That sounds good. Bothell, okay. No Bothell well, that sounds good. I need to check that out. So was January 31st, 2024, I joined NCWA because they were having a conference in April, and by being a member, you got a discount.
That's right. And you still do. Yes.
and I was going to be doing this on a shoestring.
Mm-hmm.
Neither Bill or I have, 9-to-5 jobs. He's retired. I'm retired. And so we're going to do this on a shoestring. So I said, okay, I'll do that. NCWA has been such a blessing.
Yeah.
Partly because of the supportiveness of this group.
Yeah.
They genuinely care for one another.
Mm-hmm.
They're God-centered. And I needed that in my life. The sterile hospital, secular environment had really been all-consuming.
Yeah.
But the relationships that Bill and I built with the medical teams were friendships.
Yeah.
And developing the friendships in NCWA just became the icing on the cake.
Mm. Yeah.
And
I think that conference, was it down like in Des Moines or Burien?
Yes, it was.
That was the first one I went to as well. I think we actually met there.
Yeah.
Because we were both like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I got here. Yeah. Yeah, I was there too.
Yeah. And there was a lot to take in.
Oh, yeah.
And just, again, the camaraderie,
Mm-hmm.
the support. Being an author for a lot of people I'm observing is somewhat done in isolation.
Oh, yeah.
You're there with your computer or your pen and paper, and you're thinking and cogitating and jotting ideas down, and you're doing that in your own world. Having a resource where you can talk to others like
Mm-hmm.
you get in this group, it is phenomenal. So it was a lot. And one of the things in that conference that was so great was the opportunity to meet with agents, with publishers, with, different people in different specialties.
Mm-hmm.
And since I knew nothing, I was this blank slate and just soaking it in like a sponge. The nice thing, one gal I had an appointment to tell her what my idea about this book for patients in a hospital setting. And she was so kind. She said, you know what? That's not a good fit for my agency, but here's someone you might want to talk to.
Yeah.
So again, no rejection was provided, but redirection.
That's right.
Try this.
Yeah.
So even though I didn't have an appointment, I found that person she recommended, and I sat at the lunch table with her.
There you go.
We chatted, and she was really phenomenal too. And she goes, yeah, I really like the premise of your idea, but candidly, I have no idea if you can even write. Are you a good writer? I don't know. She said, I'd have to know a lot more.
Yeah.
Again, not a rejection, information.
Yeah.
how do you become a writer when you know nothing?
Mm-hmm.
And you take the input that these people provide to you because they are the experts.
Yep.
And you listen, you pray on it if you're faith-based. If you're not faith-based, you take that information and you process it.
Yeah.
The third person I met was a publisher, and I had met her once before.
Uh-huh.
And I told her, I'm in this process. I'm learning a lot. We just chatted.
Yeah.
And I figured I'd go home and I'd continue writing on the book and just do a chapter here, do a chapter there, and started that process.
Yeah.
It was, again, what I feel divine intervention. The publisher reached out to me.
Huh.
I didn't have to do a book proposal.
Mm-hmm.
Evidently, our conversation had been heartfelt.
Hmm.
And as you may be able to tell, I get pretty passionate about this.
Yeah.
And that passion shows.
Yeah.
And that sparked her to have one of her team members reach out and say, let's talk about doing a book together. So that brought me to the culmination of saying, okay, now this is really happening. I have to finish the book.
Yeah.
And so
was that with Redemption Press?
It was.
Is that who you did? And Redemption Press, for those who aren't familiar, is a hybrid publishing house.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That you go to them and they project manage you through the entire process, hold your hand and get you to whatever next individual you need. It's a fabulous way, especially if you've never written a book before. They know what they're doing. I think is that who Georgia Morris went through too?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we spoke about this, how grateful she was for. Do they call it a concierge or a project manager? I don't know what they call it there.
They do call it a project manager.
Okay.
And much like Georgia, my project manager got reassigned, or I got reassigned into project manager partway through, which I think definitely was a good thing for me as well. The process. So to your audience, having a hybrid publisher like Redemption Press, who steps you through the processes, there are vocabulary terms I'd never heard before.
Right.
What's a copy line editor, right editor, this type of editor, that type of editor. So this was absolutely the right choice for me because I didn't know enough to do it on my own.
Yeah.
And the other thing, since I am a detail-oriented type person, in that accounting arena, there's a little bit of control that I need.
Yep.
I wasn't about to give it over to a traditional publisher who could change the mission.
Mm.
They have the ability, traditionally published, you're giving over your rights in total.
Yep.
I wasn't willing to do that because I want my book to be a bridge. Mm. Yes. And as I said before, the people who already have faith in God and know God is a patient advocate, good on them.
Yeah.
But for those people who don't, how can my writing help inspire them to know they're not alone?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to give that up. So I wasn't going to go traditional.
Yep.
The agent, okay, we're doing this on a shoestring. And even a hybrid publisher, they're not cheap.
Yep, they're not.
But it was the right decision.
Yeah.
What shocked me is how long it takes.
Isn't that is a real eye-opener, isn't it?
Yeah. I actually finished the writing September of 2024.
Uh-huh.
Then we began editing.
Yeah, finished is a kind of a misnomer. I think you finished the first phase of writing. Yes.
Exactly. And that was something that I didn't know. And so I would type a question saying, okay, well, we did this. How long for the next step?
Yep.
And then you wait and you wait and you find it's going to be a little while longer. And then you wait and then you find, oh, but there's another step.
Yep.
And so it wasn't until August of this year that the actual process was completed. And then I said, well, gee, we're at the end of August. September marks my husband's 25th anniversary of his transplant. Let's just do it in September.
Interesting.
We'll just make it his 25th anniversary present, publishing the book.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I was just talking to, I think it was my last guest, about our timing issues in writing, that we think we know when it needs to be done, and we get a little anxious about pushing it to where, when and how and all that. And then I don't know, through all of the miasma of getting through the process of writing, is that the Lord gets it done exactly at the right time, at the right moment. And you go, oh, I didn't think about that. That actually is perfect. He's so good about that.
And that's what I said.
Yeah.
That's perfect. What, 25th anniversary? What could be better?
Yeah. And so it came out in September, and you have it on both ebook and paperback. True.
Correct.
And are you getting any feedback from people who are reading it?
Oh, thank you for asking. Yes. And what amazes me is how supportive the medical community has been.
I love that. Tell me about that.
The most very impactful testimonials from the medical community, how they see this as a much needed resource. Patients need to learn to advocate for themselves with confidence.
Yeah.
And all too often, even me in the beginning, the first time going up to a nurse's station going, excuse me, we need some help here.
Yeah.
I was totally intimidated. And that's very normal.
Yeah.
So how do you help people get past that? Because like that sign that had been on my husband's door all afternoon saying, do not enter, it needed to be off the door.
Right.
And how do I advocate for that and have the confidence to do it? So the medical community, albeit the book does point out some deficits that happened along the way, but it wasn't to point fingers. It was to say, this is real.
Yep.
And you as a patient need to know how to overcome that.
Yes.
And here's the confidence builder to help you do that.
Yeah.
And so the medical community has just one after another. Thank you for writing this. This is much needed. One doctor who's also an author wrote, thank you for pointing out the importance of an advocate and that God is our advocate.
Yeah.
And so that he recognized in the book that there is a presence of God there, though it's more underlying.
Yeah. Yeah.
He read it and it really stood out to him. And to me, that was so wonderful to hear. I had another doctor who read it and he didn't see that.
Okay.
Yet he said, good on you for writing the book.
Yeah. He
said, you have inspired me. Now I want to write a book.
Oh, I love that.
So what I've been most impressed with is the medical community's response.
Yeah.
I actually have one hospital that agreed to carry the book in their gift shop.
Lovely.
Because that's where people are going to see it. And she was so wonderful. She says, I don't sell many books here in this gift shop, but I want to give yours a try. So wonderful feedback.
Yeah.
The secular community, one of the best testimonials was a gal who said her husband travels a lot. And he knows when he goes into hotel rooms, he has his Sani wipes and he wipes down the surfaces. He knows to do that.
Yeah.
She said she wished she had this book before he went into the hospital because I remind people to bring cleaning wipes into the hospital.
Do.
Wipe down all the surfaces. Germs are invisible. You can't see them. And you don't know how good the cleaning staff is.
Yeah. And you're in a hospital with a lot of other sick people.
Yeah. A lot of sick people, a lot of germs.
Yeah.
So bring those cleaning wipes with you. And she wrote how that was such a meaningful secret.
Yeah.
She just wished she'd known before.
Yeah.
But she's now put it out there, and she did the Amazon review saying, I want other people to know this.
Right? Yes, I found that. And as I was reading it through too, I have a brother who is facing a transplant situation in the coming months. And so thinking about all those things, I was like, oh, this is actually very practical as you get into that world of we're going to spend a lot of time in hospitals and a lot of time communicating with medical staff. And how do we do that in a way that is advocating for him, but also equipping ourselves? Like, it's a lot of information. And, my sister-in-law and my nephews and all that, it's overwhelming how much information you get. But then to just actually walk out all those days in a hospital in a way where you can navigate it and do the best that you possibly can in the situation. Not everything is going to be under your control. A lot of things aren't.
Yeah.
But, being as prepared as you possibly can be, I think gives you a measure of strength that, because a lot of it is the intimidation of just the unknown. And like I say, you can't control everything, but you do a really good job of saying, this is what you can do. Making sure that you have a game plan, writing things down, bringing a notebook, asking questions, all the things that you do as an advocate. But also, I like that you define differently an advocate and a caregiver. Can you tell our audience what the difference is there?
Yes. And the way I do it in the book is I do it with stories.
Yeah.
And one of the things is, for example, as I say in the book, when I was pregnant and working full time, and what if the baby was going to come while I was at work, and my husband at that time was miles and miles away and couldn't get to me, what would I do? And most everyone assumed I would just call my mom, who just lived 2 miles away from where I worked.
Yeah.
And she would be the caregiver. A caregiver is someone who takes you to appointments. They hold your hand. They might help you eat if you're having difficulty. Yeah. Those personal care items, like a family member often does. Mm-hmm. That would be a caregiver. I would not choose my mom because she's highly excitable and doesn't do well in emergent situations.
Uh-huh.
So I reached out to a coworker and said, if something happens and I have to get to the hospital, will you take me? So there were 2 messages there. One is, know your caregivers, what they do, and is the person you're choosing for your caregiver the best person for the job?
Yeah.
And if they're not, have a backup plan. Mm-hmm. So clearly the best person was going to be my husband if I were at home and we together. But if it was at work, find the best caregiver to get me to the hospital.
Yeah.
An advocate is someone who knows the ins and outs of the system, the healthcare system.
Yeah.
They are the ones who know who to go to at a facility, when to escalate it higher up the chain of command, who is the person to lodge a complaint with if necessary.
Yeah.
So they're not the ones who are necessarily at your side, helping you with clothing and food and comfort items, but they're the person who's taking it to that optimal level to get your rights enforced.
Yeah.
And that advocate has to be someone who is absolutely steadfast in their role. And sometimes that can be a spouse, but sometimes it can't. Mm-hmm. If the spouse is too overwhelmed with the fact that their loved one is in a vulnerable place and is not getting something they need, if that spouse is going to be like my mom and not do well in that situation, you need to get a different advocate. And that's why knowing in advance if you're going to a hospital and planning for it, and setting those things up in the plan can go so far to building your confidence. You know how to react, and you can react better. You can react with more kindness when you know that, hey, I have an advocate coming and they're going to get me this help that I need. So that's
good. Where do you find advocates if you know, okay, I can't do it, my mom's not going to do it? Where do I find an advocate?
I'm so glad you asked. There's a couple places. Hospitals often say that they can provide an advocate. However, if you use a hospital advocate, know that that advocate works for the hospital usually. They're not working for you. There are national organizations that you can go to online, and the one that I'm a member of is called GNAnow.org. Stands for Greater National Advocates Organization. It's a nationwide patient advocacy organization, nonprofit, and they have a really easy to use website. I'm not this techie person, so I find I gravitate toward what's an easy website.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so it's an easy website where you can type in what your need is. And it will help give you a list of those advocates in your geographic area that fulfill that need.
Beautiful.
So they're just one of many. There's another organization called Pulse, Pulse. Pulse is great if you have a family member who's pretty good at being an advocate, but maybe they need some extra tools in their arsenal. Go to pulse.org, and they have a whole toolkit of items that people can use as resources.
Oh, that's great. Beautiful. Thank you for that. Those are great, because I don't know those things. You know those things.
And what I've found is I'm going around and I offer to do speaking engagements to anywhere and anyone to help get this mission across to other people. People don't even know advocates exist.
No, absolutely.
And so we need to get this message out. That's my passion. Got to get this out there.
I noticed. That's wonderful. So let me ask, so we're going back to the writing process. Did you have moments where you had just a really big obstacle that you had to overcome or had to push through? What were some of those obstacles that you had to get through in the process?
Mostly it was just raising my hand and saying it was my ignorance. I'd never done this before. I needed to quit beating myself up.
That's good.
For not knowing what I didn't know. That was my biggest obstacle. I didn't need to get down on myself. I was a newbie.
Exactly.
Okay. I don't know what I don't know. Raise my hand and ask for help. So that was the biggest obstacle. As far as the writing, I had my husband here. And I'd write a chapter and I'd say, honey, read this. Tell me what you think.
Good.
And it was so heartwarming because he'd read something, he'd go, I don't remember that. And I'd go, that's okay, honey. You had a job to do. Your job was to stay alive. And you did it. So kudos to you. But some of the hospital experiences, he was so ill. You know, and the medicines that they had him on. Some of the medicines just totally took his brain away. But he would read it and he'd say, yeah, you know, that really would help someone. That would have helped me.
Yeah, that's great. You got immediate feedback. I like that. But it's true. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable again and to become a student again when you've never written a book. It's a big learning curve, and to not beat yourself up. I like that. That's great advice. So you have a background as an accountant, but you had some inkling of wanting to be an author, maybe in your background. Tell me about that.
Okay. Well, partly I have to give credit to having a unique sense of humor.
Okay.
One of the things that I love doing is trying to find joy, particularly in music.
Uh-huh.
And so it seems as though every job I've had, I've somehow or another managed to write a song parody that goes with that job.
Uh-huh.
And so I've always said there's a part of me that has a little bit of poetic justice
Uh-huh.
as I write these song parodies. And now that's followed me through my adult life.
Yep.
But my first poem that I got published in a state newspaper was back in the 70s, I think.
Huh.
So this thing about I can write, it's been in my mind, forever, it seems. I did very well in school in writing.
Yeah.
I had, accolades both in junior high and high school for my creative writing.
Uh-huh.
And then throughout my adult life, I just kind of kept my finger in the pie by doing some parodies.
Yeah.
This book was not a parody, of course.
No,
but,
right.
Yeah, it's always been in the back of my mind.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've had a lot of guests say that, I mean, some have said, yes, I've always wanted to be an author, but most of us are like, yeah, I kind of dabbled in it and was kind of good at it, but then life takes over and careers take over and kids take over and all those things take over. And then all of a sudden God says, here, write this, Val. I got a book for you to write. You're like, oh gosh, there it is again. So it's like he already knows what's in you and your capacities. You have a capacity to write. You do a beautiful job of writing. It's very clear. It's very easy to read. It's well organized. And so your skills are evident in the writing. And I know you get help along the way, but if you don't have, like that one gal said, I don't know what kind of writer you are. I don't know how, you actually have you have a very real skill, gift inside of you that God is now saying, oh, let's take this out, Val. Now would be a good time to use that. And I love that. I love it.
And also to that point,
Yeah.
In the news right now, healthcare is top of mind for so many people. So yes, I do think God said, get busy, get on the stick, because this is going to be more necessary than it's ever been needed before.
Yeah.
So and I will share, I don't want this to be the only book.
Yeah.
I want to write what every spouse needs to know.
Huh.
So
yes,
let's help the patients. That first and foremost, I want to get this out there so the patients can have better outcomes.
Yeah.
And I want to write a sequel so the spouses can have better outcomes.
Very good. So we can look forward to another Val Barschaw book. Are you working on it already, or is it just kind of percolating?
Every once in a while I'll write. So I've started my folder where if I get an idea, I jot it down and it's in the folder.
Yeah.
So I jot the ideas down into the folder. One of the things that I mentioned in the book, when someone's going through, and like your family member who's going to go through a transplant, and I'll look at you and I will I'm so impassioned. Join a support group. For that particular transplant. Whether it's a kidney transplant, heart transplant, whatever, there are support groups specific to an area of transplant, and join those. Because you will gain so much from the people who have walked in the steps that you're walking through. Type of support that they're able to give you is different than what the clinics can give you.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to share that with you personally. Be sure and get.
I know the transplant team. That was one of the things that they said right away. Here's the support groups. Join one. They gave them a list. Here's the one. Like, okay, they know that their job is one thing, the medical, but there's a whole nother side of this that's emotional and practical, and that they can't do all that.
Yes. And spiritual.
Yes.
It is, all those things come into play.
Yep.
And the support group, such a meaningful opportunity for people to get through. So knowing in the spousal situation, one of the saddest things I witnessed in our support group was a couple break up and get a divorce because the spouse could not deal with the stress of the medical situation.
That's a lot.
So hearing that story and this person seeing me and my husband, our marriage was strengthened.
Yeah.
And his was torn apart.
Yeah.
But still to be there and be support to him.
Yeah. Yep.
And I spent so much time in the hospital, and I know I would go visit other patients in their rooms. And I remember him specifically going and visiting him, knowing he didn't have a spouse coming to visit him.
Yeah.
So I'd go visit him and brighten his day. And
well, it's what the Lord would have us do too. I mean, it's one of the most basic premise. If someone is sick, if someone's in need, go be with them. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, well, the time has flown by, Val. I don't even know. Oh, let me just ask you one final question before we wrap. If you could give aspiring authors one piece of advice, what would it be? Those who've not been down this road yet, what would you tell them?
Be patient.
Ah.
Go ahead and take the time to do some research. Take the time to learn each step along the way, and know that learning curve is really steep the first time, but know it's going to be even easier the second time.
That's right.
So there's hope.
Yeah, there is hope. I love that. Be patient, take the time to learn, and be willing to be a student again, right?
Be a student. One, caveat on proofreading.
Yeah.
Really drill down on your proofreading. I thought I'd proofread pretty well, but do be sure that you have someone else in your personal realm proofread the copy as well.
Yeah.
I would add that. That's part of the learning.
Oh, it is. And honestly, it's crazy how many sets of eyes can look through a manuscript and then it gets published and you go, oh, that's not how. Wait a minute. There's supposed to be a comma there, or there's supposed to be a semi. I mean, all those little tiny things that they get. Yeah. So yes, proofreading, copy edit, all those things are so vital. And as many sets of eyes as eyes that are skilled and compassionate as well. Yes, there's a lot to do. Okay, so your book can be found on Amazon, true?
Of course.
And you're working on getting it into some bookstores and...
I live in Central Washington.
Yep.
It's at Gerald's Bookstore in Ellensburg.
Okay.
It's at the North County Tribune in Cle Elum. It's at the University of Washington Bookstore.
Yeah.
Gift shop, I should say. Yeah. And I have another bookstore that has agreed to carry it. We have not actually made the date to get it on their shelves. So
it's getting out there.
Because of my passion, and this is going to save someone's life.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
But only if they know it.
Yeah, so exactly.
I'm going out and I've been stopping at Barnes and Noble regularly saying, please, get my book on your shelves.
Yep. And also if you're in a situation right now where you have a loved one in a long-term hospital kind of situation, go to the bookstore in the hospital and say, hey, there's this book I know by Val Barschaw. I think it would be great if you carried it in let's be an advocate for Val, shall we? Yeah. Let's be an advocate for Val, because I think every hospital bookstore, this would be a great place for it. But it is available now. If you need it right now, go on to Amazon, buy it, or if you know someone who needs it.
Yep. I have it on my website as well.
Okay. And what is your website? Tell us.
The website is called hospital2health.com, and two is TO, hospital2health.com.
Okay, so they can find it there.
And it's available there as well. So,
and you have other resources on that website, or what?
I do.
What else?
Okay. One of the resources right now, I have the book at the forefront.
Yeah.
But a resource, anyone got any prescriptions, download the free Med Check Mastery Guide. It's a free download. Absolutely a lifesaver. It has been the number one tool for preventing a hospital tragedy, is knowing your medicines, knowing what you can and can't take.
Okay, so that's available on your website.
On the website, it's a free download.
Okay.
Just
and tell us the name again. It's Hospital to Health. No.
Yes, the website is hospital2health.com.
Okay. All right. Well, we got to wrap this up, but it's been wonderful having you, Val. I learned a lot with your book, and I will be sharing it with others. I appreciate all the effort you've gone through, and I appreciate the life you've lived to actually gain the knowledge that you've gained. That's not an easy road that you've been down.
It was a challenge we were given for a purpose.
Yeah.
And that's, I want to convince everyone that their life matters. They're not alone, and they're here for a purpose. And I am so blessed that God guided me to write this book. Because that's the purpose.
Yeah. Thanks, Val. All right, guys, go out, pick up Val's book, share it with somebody, and write a review. Give her a rating on Amazon. It's always so helpful. So thanks so much for taking the time, Val. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Wendy Jo.
Yeah, and you as well. Listeners, thanks for listening. As always, I love and appreciate you as well. Blessings and peace. Shalom, shalom.